Returning to the situation in the Middle East, Ghada Karmi, Palestinian academic, research fellow at the Institute of Arab and Islamic Studies at the University of Exeter, been with us previously. Thank you for taking the time to join us again. Since we last had you on the programme, your views on what's been happening in the Middle East?
Well, it's almost unspeakable. I don't have a word for it. What I can only call a murderous assault by Israel on the civilian population of Gaza has been worse than I think anybody ever imagined that they would see on their screens, or that the poor people of Gaza would have ever have experienced in their worst nightmares. No way. It's beyond anything. There are no red lines. It's quite extraordinary. Israel seems to have no red lines to anything it does. It feels it can do anything: attack hospitals, kill children, make people destitute, destroy their homes, make life impossible in much of Gaza. I mean, how, for me, the major issue really has been, of course, apart from the terrible suffering for the people of Gaza, but the really important question is, how is this allowed to happen? How is it that Western countries, this one, the United States, of course, at the head, France, Germany, Western states, how is it that they're standing by and letting this happen?
Of course, Israel would say that there are many red lines that they're aware of, that they haven't crossed, that they are targeted in their attacks on Gaza, that they notify hospitals if there is likely to be any military activity around them, that Hamas use hospitals in order to protect themselves, which is against international law.
Well, one would expect Israel to say that. That is simply not true. We know very well that Israel just attacks civilians, bombs, destroys homes, etc. We know that. We can see it with our own eyes. We don't need Israel to try and give us some kind of explanation. Now, the second issue, which is the one, the excuse that they've been using all along, which is utterly pernicious, really, is that Hamas fighters are using hospitals to hide in or dig tunnels under or something. They need, the Israelis, if they want to be believed, they need independent assessors. They need independent people who will go there and have a look and see for themselves and show us the evidence.
It takes time.
It's a question, but I mean, it hasn't taken Israel long to produce this set of lies and start acting on it, whereas
we don't know that they're lies. How do you know they're lies?
Well, because we don't, it's true. I know what we don't know. I'm making a supposition going on past experience with Israel. But certainly something as serious as that, that's a very grave accusation to level at a hospital to say you're harboring terrorists is very, very grave. Therefore, it needs independent evidence, and we don't have that. Israel can't have it always. It can't allow itself a free hand, killing and destroying civilians.
What responsibility should Hamas have for what's happened? They invaded on the 7th of October, killed in the most barbaric of fashion so many people, took others, including a 9-month-old baby, an 85-year-old man, back into Gaza. And why would they have done that? Because they didn't want peace between Israel, Saudi Arabia and the wider Middle East?
No, they did that because they're under a suffocating siege. This is Gaza, is under a suffocating siege for the last 16 years. And nobody was prepared to lift the siege. The sufferings of the people of Gaza didn't start on October the 7th. They've been around for decades.
Is that when a peace deal with Israel and Saudi Arabia would have started to ease?
And I don't think so at all, and I'll tell you why I say that. The question of these normalization deals that various Arab states have begun to do with Israel are really about their own mutual interests. They don't involve the Palestinians. There is no part of these deals which has made it obligatory on Israel that if it wants to normalize relations with Arab states, it has to actually make peace with the Palestinians. That hasn't been part of these normalization deals. So you can understand that the people of Gaza and their leaders are not impressed by these deals. Now, I would be very dubious that the attack on October 7th was motivated by trying to scupper the deal between Saudi Arabia and Israel, because to plan an operation like that would have taken probably 2 years, really. People who've observed this and understand it, that's what they would say. And that was long before the Saudi-Israel deal was in the offing. No, it's about breaking out of a suffocating siege. And I'm astonished that we don't hear about this more. Israel's response to the suffocating siege of 16 years has been to impose a new blockade, preventing essential
Hamas knew
services.
this would happen, though, didn't they? Hamas knew that the iron fist of Israel would come and pound and pound and pound, given what they did on the 7th of October. They knew that, and they did it anyway.
Well, thank you for mentioning that Israel could be relied on to behave in the murderous way that it already has.
They said it in
is
international
doing.
law.
Well, exactly. I mean, look at the way they're behaving, the Israelis. I mean, they don't recognize any kind of law. No, I think that Hamas made a calculated, made a calculation that if it did what it did, which was a bid, if you like, for freedom, for breaking out of this stifling siege, that it would upend the kind of status quo, so that where people have been comfortable, they've grown comfortable with the idea that there's the Gazans tucked away behind their siege, we don't have to worry about them, and there the Palestinians are pacified, and now Israel can do what it likes, and Western states can carry on doing business as usual. That was upended on October 7th. Don't get me wrong, I am not defending the use of violence of that kind to produce political ends.
On
Not
either
at all.
side.
Not at all. What I'm saying, though, is that's the effect of that operation on October 7th, and look where we are now. Things are never going to be the same again.
If hostages are released, what will happen next, do you think?
A very good question. It's very unpredictable. You see, you've got to understand, Israel feels very humiliated. It feels that it's been exposed, that its intelligence services, its army, its government were caught asleep on the job on October 7th.
Israel knows that.
They know that, and they're desperate to get back their reputation. And how does that fit in with
I think we have to differentiate between the Israeli government and the Israeli people, don't we?
Indeed, indeed. I'm talking about the government, and I'm talking about Western governments as well, which have stood by and watched this. So the Israeli government is calculating how it can save face, really. And it's not succeeded so far.
We must leave it there, Ghada, but it's always fascinating to get your intellectual view on what's happening. Please come back and see us again. Thank you. Quick look at the weather.